That record holds now that Hamilton
Hello everyone, welcome back to the Grand Prix Podcast. I am Elton, and joining me as always is Andy.
Hello!
And we got the Belgian Grand Prix today from 2017. It's the year of our Lord.
Maybe.
yeah, maybe not. But how did it get into this so quickly, for fuck's sake?
The wheels have made like a force in you and have just flown off of this podcast.
Oh, God, yes, yeah.
Oh, nice. See what I did there? Oh, yeah. Always moving, always thinking.
No, yeah, well, we're here to talk about the Belgian Grand Prix, as always. I'm looking forward to this one, because I think opinions may be divided on this. If Hungary is anything to go by, then this should also be divided as well. I'm just wondering.
Oh, well, because we've not actually spoken, because rather than doing his good duty to you fine listeners out there, someone was off, what's the correct way to put it? He was playing around with other forms of motorsport, weren't you?
I was,
yes. You ungrateful, you intergalactic hussy, you.
Sorry, mate, sorry. Yeah, I was at the
I don't think you're sorry.
I'm not. I had quite a good time, actually. I was at the MotoGP at Silverstone.
Jacques Hughes.
Yeah, for the British Grand Prix. Yeah, that's different. That's proper pack racing, that is.
It is.
That's weird.
And weirdly, louder.
Oh, so much louder. To the point where I had to wear some earphones. Or ear protectors, or what are the little spongy things that you stick in your ear? Them type things.
Earplugs.
That's the fella, yeah.
Yes.
Because, yeah, all three Formula that I saw there were miles louder than the Formula Ones. By a long shot.
A very, very quick segue there.
Yeah.
Did you see I posted someone has overdubbed some footage of current F1 cars with the V10 sounds?
I saw the link. I haven't seen the actual video of it yet.
Okay, you people out there, if you go to our Facebook page, so just go to Facebook and search Grand Prix Podcast, you'll find it. I posted a link there. Mm-hmm. The most glorious thing ever. Because, I mean, I don't think we've ever been particularly down on the sound. I mean, we've said, it is what it is. I don't see what a big fuss is.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, if you've been listening to your favourite song on a really dodgy old cassette.
Yeah. And
you're listening to it and you go home and you go, this is fine. You get used to it. And then all of a sudden one day you go and see the band perform live in their prime and you've got like the best seats in the house. And you suddenly go, oh, this is what it's supposed to sound like.
Yeah. Oh, I'm looking forward to seeing that. I am going to check it out very soon.
Check it out, and maybe if we take a break, you can check it out. But yes. Anyway, back to MotoGP. You hussy, you.
Yeah,
can't even name a MotoGP rider, can you?
Well, I can name two, and that was all I could name. But no, I could name three. No, 2.5. I could name Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. By the way, he's got uber amounts of fans at Silverstone. Everything is 46 and yellow and the Doctor.
If he keeps going at this rate, he actually will be 46 and still racing.
Yeah, that's right. And then I knew that Marquez's brother was in the lower Formula as well, and I could work out what rider he was. But yeah, pack racing is a totally different animal to what I'm used to. And going to see it live is kind of weird, because that is just watching people go around in circles, and 1 minute they're there, and then you're waiting another 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden they're all there again. That's a totally different monster. When I saw the Formula One, we all know it spreads out, there's lapping, and so there's nigh on always a car going past you towards mid-race and onwards. And to watch pack racing it's a totally different animal. It really is. Yeah, it's dangerous. Yes, it's close, and that's fun. But you're there to watch the race, and when you get 10 seconds of it as it goes past, so you got 20 laps, you ain't got a lot of viewing time, really, have you?
See, that's weird because I've not watched MotoGP ever since it pretty much moved to BT because I'm going to subscribe to BT just for MotoGP.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just remember it was a much more fun experience to watch the races because of, the cameras would be on that pack. You'd have like a group of 5 or 6 vying for the lead. Mm-hmm. And then, one of them would make a run. It was kind of like watching a marathon race almost, where you'd have some would try and make a sprint, get a bit of a gap, and then they just settle down for the race, and then all the action would come towards the end. And it was always really entertaining to watch that.
Yeah.
On the TV. But I totally see what your point about, the experience on the track side could be a lot more meh as a result.
Yeah. Also, I don't want to annoy people, but the motorbikers... You're not allowed to stop
you, are you?
No. Screw them losers. The motorbikers, kind of lightweights on the Saturday. I must admit, there was hardly anyone there. Oh,
you mean in terms of the fans?
In terms of the fans, yes. There was a lot of people there, but Silverstone opened up the centre of the circuit, so everyone could walk around anytime. That's probably because they're worried about motorbikes and cyclists kicking their head in if they don't let the centre of the track open. But they opened the centre of the track so you could walk around anywhere. So I lost my VIP status in that. So I was like, oh,
you had to mingle with the normies?
I don't like this. This is not on. Who do I go see?
Oh, that's a bit like me when I go to an airport and I can't access the lounge.
Mm-hmm.
Dear gods.
I was disgusted. Anyway, yes. All of them were lovely, I must admit.
Did you drop your monocle?
Sorry?
Did you drop your monocle?
Oh, my monocle. Oh, yes. Yeah. I did manage to ruffle it out of the dirt, which was left and trampled on. But, yeah, so I had to mingle with the norms, which was fine. I can dig that. That's all right. The Silverstone opens up its stands to anyone. It's free for all on the Saturday. So I managed to get into the international pit straight into the covered stand there, which was fun.
Uh-huh.
And that was really good. And there was still loads of room there. There was people at the front, there was people at the back, and there was people in front of the grandstand as well, having a really good seat. And that was all over the track. And it was nice, free and easy. Come the race day, oh my God, totally different atmosphere.
Uh-huh.
It was, because it is bikes just going round in circles, because I didn't know that they weren't allowed to take each other on the practice laps. So it's just bikers going round following each other. Am I right in thinking that?
Again, it's been a long time since I've watched a race live. I mean, I've tried to follow it as best I can through like Autosport and everything, but
yeah,
ever since it left Eurosport, it's just been really difficult to follow again because it moved to BT, and I can understand why if you're a fan of Formula One, when BBC announced it was going to Sky, how you could be really kind of apprehensive about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all well and good then we're covering half a season and then highlights, but it's just not the same.
No, that's right. That's right.
So yeah, I mean, it does highlight to me just how important good coverage on motorsport is, because I'd love to do more with Formula E, but I don't even know where that is or who the commentary team is and stuff like that. And it's just not the same.
Yeah, that's
because I'll say this about Sky, between Brundle, Crofty, Ted Kravitz, and the rest of the team they've got there, they make watching it a delight.
Yes. Yeah. No, I totally agree with that. Formula E, isn't that on Channel 5 or ITV4, or is that the BTCC? I think the BTCC's on ITV4 somewhere. But anyway, I digress a little bit.
Yes. We have digressed because, we've been talking about MotoGP.
Yeah. But
so, I mean, would you go again?
I think I would. But yeah, I think I'd need a couple of mates there with me who really know what's going on and really. So
what you're saying is we have to go and thaw Chris out of cryogenic storage.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Us three up there, that would be fine. And you guys telling me what's going on and who's who's what
Yes.
and who to look
Now,
out for.
this bike is close, but that one is far away.
But it's teeny tiny. But yeah, there was maybe a third of the people there on the Saturday compared to the Sunday. There was no comparison. It was night and day, Saturday and Sunday. Really was. It was fair weather and hardcore on the Sunday, and it really did surprise me because on the Saturday, Sunday of the British Grand Prix, yeah, there was a lot more people for the race, but it was still busy on the Saturday because there was a lot going on. There was a lot of races going on and qualifying, and you got a lot of track action. But it was a totally different world, I must admit. But I don't regret going there. But yeah, that was it was an experience, shall we say?
Cool.
Yeah.
So you realise if I'm not invited to one of these next year, I will kneecap you.
I am aware of this, and I
Just want to make sure we're clear on it.
I'm doing my best. Don't worry. But yeah, that was good fun, I must admit. So
Excellent. So while you were swanning off, gallivanting with other motorsports, I was diligently doing my duty. I even watched both of the free practice sessions.
Ah, did you?
I did.
Oh, good.
Can't remember sod all about them, but I did watch them.
Yeah, well,
I saw Massa had a little incident in FP1.
That's all I saw from FP1. I think it was pretty dull.
It was
Apart
pretty
from
dull. Ted Kravitz seems to have developed a man crush on Guy Martin, who was filming a show or something where he was actually part of a Williams pit crew.
Yep.
He took part in the pit stops. He was the left rear wheel takeover.
Yeah, left wheel off.
Term.
Yeah.
There you go. Left wheel off. And so when Massa's car came in, Ted was following him down and admiring his tattoos. And they got a good look at the car, which was in a bit of a state.
Yes, he totally wiped out the left-hand side of that car, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. And it didn't look like a massive impact, but yeah.
But it brought into question why he'd left the Resta to actually race in his place in Hungary, which was, at this point, 4 and a bit weeks ago.
Yeah. That was the question on everyone's lips. Was it related to his vertigo or whatever he was feeling?
But I don't think it was. I think it was just a miscalculation. It was a bit of a no incident, but looked worse than what it actually was.
Yeah. No, I think that's the case. I just think he went into the corner and, as I used to say on my bike, ran out of talent in the middle.
Been there, done that, have you?
Oh, so many times.
Good to hear. FP2, there was not a lot, but there was rain towards the end of it, so that kind of scuppered everything.
Oh, how there was rain, yeah.
But people still went out, though, didn't they?
They went out and then promptly came back in.
Yeah.
It was, I remember Ricardo went out in intermediates, did a practice start, got to the first corner, was like, nope, and he just tiptoed all the way back, and you could literally just see the nope. Yep. Nah.
Yeah, it wasn't even anywhere close to being intermediate tyres. It was full wets, if anything.
Uh-huh.
What a shame they don't have the monsoon nowadays. And free practice 3, I did not see because I was out gallivanting with others. So was there anything to report from that?
I think I think someone stopped with a possible issue, but I honestly, for the life of me, cannot remember off the top of my head. Let me. Man quickly tries to look up stuff on internet.
Go for it, man. Go for it. In the meantime, while you're doing that, I will say that Vettel did confirm that he had a new contract signed.
Yes, apparently signed in between the Ferrari motorhomes. On the back of a bin or something like that. I don't know if this was actually the case. It was. Do
you know, they probably asked Kimi to bend over and said, "Yeah, can we use your back? Because you've got our back already, haven't you?" And he went, "Oh, okay, but can I sign for?" No, you signed second, Kimi. You signed second, Kimi. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah. I can't see anything on the FP3 side of things, so
Okay.
I might be misremembering that. I mean, the general thing we were getting from the from the practice sessions though was Mercedes were very good, especially Hamilton. Ferrari had good pace. Kimi was leading for most of it of the two Ferraris. Honda's fabled Spec 4 engine wasn't coming, so they were on a Spec 3.6 or something like that. With Stoffel due to take first 35 place grid penalty, and then it was 65 place grid penalty, which is just stupid.
Yes.
But there you go. And that was a kind of the size of it for FP. Nothing particularly exciting otherwise happened. Did have something interesting happen between FP and qualifying though.
Go on then.
Mick Schumacher drove his dad's old Benetton around the circuit.
Yeah, I saw footage of this on the Saturday. I think it was. No, the Sunday, sorry. I can't remember when it was. Yeah. And did it bring any memories back of him, well, that particular Benetton? Because he had his dad's crash helmet on as well.
He had his dad's crash helmet on. And I don't know if you recall when Bruno Senna was racing and you'd sometimes just catch a glimpse of the eyes and you'd have to do a double take.
Yep.
You had that a few times. A couple of times he just does a look and, you had to double. What?
He does look like his old man, doesn't he?
Yeah, especially like you said in the helmet, and his old man as he was in the 90s.
Yeah,
So that was kind of spooky. But again, lovely sound. Just hearing a proper, I think it was V10 sort of thing, doing its thing.
Yeah.
It's glorious around Spa.
Yeah, well, man, yeah. There was a touching moment when I think it was it Pat turned around and said about, we hope everything's all right for your old man, and it all got a bit quiet and everyone's bottom lip popped out a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, it was a nice touch, and it's good to see that, and fingers crossed we might see him in Formula 1 at some point. We never know. Hopefully he'll be able to work his way up and on just pure natural talent instead of the Schumacher name, because that doesn't help anyone, does it? No.
I don't think he'd want to do that, and it's the sort of thing which can easily bite you in the arse as well.
Exactly, yeah. Right, so on to qualifying then, I'd imagine.
I believe so. Well, before we do that, as I mentioned already, we had a few grid penalties with Stoffel, so shall I recount those before we get into it?
Yes, please do, yeah, why not?
Okay. Now, we have 3 drivers with 5 place grid penalties for unscheduled gearbox changes.
Mm-hmm.
That being Jolyon Palmer, who broke down in Q3, or in Q2, I think it was. Marcus Ericsson and Pascal Wehrlein both needed to replace gearboxes. We had Stoffel Van Dorn with 65 grid penalties. I can only assume at this point, there was every part of that engine was brand new.
You'd like to think so, wouldn't you?
You'd like to think so. Here you go. Here's maybe what I was thinking about in Free Practice 3. Felipe Massa received a 5-place grid penalty for ignoring yellow flags in FP3.
Oh, okay.
And Danny Kvyat has a 20-place grid penalty for exceeding his quota of power unit elements.
A 20-place grid penalty?
Yeah.
Bloody hell. That's impressive. That's some impressive build-up. I suppose lots of elements changed. Every element would be changed there as well, because you get 5 places per element as well, don't you? So
it's a stupid system. It does nothing to rein in the costs. It penalises the drivers unfairly and find a way to financially hurt the team. Make them, make the team manager wear a dunce hat every time they have to change something.
Yeah, why not? Anyway, Q1s.
Q1s?
Oh, yeah, Q1 on the qualifying. We had Kimi on the radio talking about vibration on his tyres all the way through the session. And they said that they were finding a lateral not a vertical movement, which it was interesting to see throughout the qualifying. There was something happening with the rear tyres, and they were coming out the bus stop chicane and coming out the first corner as well, where you would get ripples on the oscillations on the tyres.
Which looked awesome on the high-speed footage.
They look amazing.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah, I want more of that, and just add a little bit more skill. It could have been the diamond cut surface that they have there because of drainage, but they couldn't quite pinpoint what it was. So it looked bloody good on the high-speed, high-def, crikey vision type thing. But yeah, worrying, because there were parts flying off. I think Williams had parts flying off of his car because of this oscillation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it did look good. We had, Kimi moaning about that sort of stuff. Sainz, towards the end of it, he popped out Massa out of Q3, so Massa didn't qualify into the
I will
next
just
one.
say the Williams were not looking good here this weekend at all.
Williams was shocking.
They were shockingly shocking.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
I was stunned and shocked.
I was appalled. It's appalling.
But yeah, Sainz managed. Massa was sitting on the bubble of this, and Sainz ended up he was the only person who could put him out. He ended up going faster, popping him out, and he ended up dropping out of Q1. Van Dorn, on the other hand, ended up in 10th position.
Yes, well, they were playing following the leader, weren't they?
This
Telling each
was
other.
really good.
I loved it. It was awesome. He'd go out and then Alonso would come up behind him and he'd just get a toe all the way up along the straight there and then just dive out, and it was really, really fun.
It was really well timed as well, wasn't it? This was two guys working perfectly, like Swiss watches, unlike the Japanese.
Unlike the power unit
Honda
in the back of the fucking
units.
thing.
Yes, exactly, yeah. Maybe they should, I don't know. But the way they choreographed it was almost to perfection. We've seen this go horribly wrong in times previous, where I think Ferrari tried it a couple of times and didn't quite get it right. I'm sure McLaren tried it a couple of times, didn't quite get it right. And this worked perfectly. This was teammates working together, because Van Dorn, he already knew that he'll be starting from the back anyway.
Yeah, and that was the thing. And Alonso basically said, I'll do the same for him next time out, because it's my turn to have the penalties event. So, I mean, in one way, it's a lovely sentiment in doing it. In another way, it's really sad that they're so resigned to it. But
it is, yeah. And, well, the next race is Italy, so you're going to get some good toes off of there, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, they were coming up along the Kemmel Straight like that, and it was just really, really good to see. And again, by doing that and playing that game well, they got themselves both up into Q2. And it's strange that really we didn't see any others doing it really. I mean, we did see towards the end with the Ferraris, but other than that, everyone was kind of out for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's the problem, where McLaren are resigned to, okay, we need some tricks to get us through, guys. What are you going to do? That's the only... Sauber are too far behind to actually try that trick. Maybe Toro Rosso, but then them guys are against each other all the time. You got Haas.
Well, you've got to imagine if a Williams did it, potentially Massa could have gone through.
Possibly, yeah. So Q2 then. Move on to Q2. Yes.
Yep.
Palmer. I thought Palmer was looking quite good at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly so. He did have, was it problems on a weighbridge? I think it was.
Yeah, he got onto the weighbridge and he couldn't get the car going. Something about a gearbox problem. So you had the mechanics wanting to grab him and push him down, but I think they got it going again. Yeah. At least to set a time in Q2, because it was when he got when he got going for his Q1 time, it failed on its outlap. Yeah.
But I was optimistic for him. He looked like he had a bit of a swagger on him this weekend.
Yeah. Well, apparently he went away, he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, Found his centre, just kind of relaxed.
Yes. Did a bit of
got
bombing.
back in touch. Yeah, got in touch with nature.
Touched the puffin. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's what you do, isn't it? I don't know.
I don't know, something like that. Anyway, fair play to him. He was looking pretty good in qualifying.
Yep.
He got through into Q3. Unfortunately, broke down on his outlap in Q3.
Which screwed everything up, didn't it?
Yeah, and we can't really blame him for that.
No. But he looks positive. He was on it. He was getting through. He was ahead of Hulkenberg at the end of Q2 as well, which was surprising.
I think he was, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's good. Look, positive words from us about Palmer. There we go.
I know.
He was looking good.
In fact, there might even be some negative words about Alonso a bit later on. We've literally slipped into the mirror universe here.
We have, yes. I've grown a goatee, and you've lost yours, maybe.
I know. Cats and dogs living together. No, my goatee's got a goatee. That's how it works here.
McLaren was still doing the tow-in thing, which was working. Alonso phoned up and said he had no power at one point.
Well, it was literally he was going for his final run. And he got a tow. I mean, the only reason Stoffel went out was to give a tow. Didn't even set time. And apparently what happened is he got going. He got a tow. He was doing really well. He was probably going to get into Q3. But then basically the computer in the engine got confused because he took which corner was it? He took one of the corners flat.
Yeah.
I think it was it Pohun? I think he took Pohun flat. And the engine software thought shouldn't be able to do that. And so it got confused as to where it was, and then just cut power basically, and wouldn't deploy properly.
You're joking.
No, seriously. So, as you can probably imagine, that put him in a fantastic mood.
So the car that you're driving turns around and says, no, that can't be possible. Didn't they press the Alonso button in there somewhere and went, no, this is possible. It can happen. But the computer went, no, does not compute, and shut itself down.
Computer says no. Yeah.
Oh.
And then you had Honda's chief book, we're very sorry and we'll make sure it never happens again. But, mate, if you want to know what the sound of time running out sounds like, it sounds a lot like a Honda engine at the minute.
Yeah, it does, yeah. In the end, Hulkenberg put a late lap in, popped Alonso out, so he was out. But Palmer did, as I said earlier on, he ended up ahead of Hulkenberg. So everything was looking good in Jolyon's part of the garage until he went out in Q3, where he broke down straight away. He had the gearbox problem, I think it was. He was a lot of smoke coming out the back of that car.
Dumped a lot of oil on the track as well. But fair enough, he got it off the side of the road as quick as he could. So
yeah, and the end of the qualifying, really, it wasn't. Kimi was still having vibration problems, and I think Vettel was languishing in fourth at one point. He did manage to pop in a time good enough for second.
On Q3,
yeah.
I mean, I'll say this about Hamilton: his lap was mighty.
Yes,
new lap record as well.
Yep. Yeah, they're looking bloody fast, them cars. They really are.
They were.
So, in the end, we had Hamilton grabbing pole position, Sebastian Vettel starting second, Bottas in third, Raikkonen in fourth, Max Verstappen, the home hero, in fifth, out-qualifying his teammate in sixth. And then we had Hulkenberg, Perez, Ocon, and Palmer, who didn't set a time.
Yes.
So that's all the qualifying done then.
Oh, yeah. Again, there was a lot of moving and stuff around at the bottom end just because of all the penalties. All you need to know is Stoffel was at the very back because he has 65 penalties.
It was a flipping joke. It really was, the way that they did that.
I mean, I do hope next year they find a better system for doing whatever they need to do to enforce the reliability, because this is when you get 65 bloody penalty places. And as we saw back in Monaco when Button jumped in, a driver who's not raced suddenly plastered with a load of penalties. It's like, really?
Yeah. There was also an issue with Jolyon Palmer's position when he started. He was supposed to be starting 15th, but I think that when the penalties were applied, I think there was another penalty applied to Van Dorn, which popped Palmer back up to the position of 14th. So he was meant to be starting 10th. He had his gearbox problem, dropped down to 14th. It was supposed to be 15th, but then jumped back up again. Crazy. It's too complicated. Really is.
It really is. And, you know, if a pair of nerds who are obsessed about Formula One like us are having trouble, how do you think casual fans are going to be going, you know?
Exactly. It means nothing. It really does mean nothing. So, yeah, to a casual watcher, they watch the qualifying and then everyone's in a totally different position for no reason whatsoever. Or for reasons.
Yes.
Just silly. Just silly.
Yeah. Silly. Stop bad.
Yes.
Silly.
So, should we get into the race then?
Yes, let us do that racing or thing.
Okay, so the race. I have a kind of itinerary of what I want to talk about on the race. And
well, I mean, by all means.
I think we need to talk about Force India straight off the bat.
Actually, very briefly, before you get to that, there is something we forgot to mention.
Oh, okay.
Which we did touch on that very briefly earlier.
Yeah.
But Hamilton surpassed Schumacher's pole record here. And there was a really touching moment where Ross Brawn came out and he had a message from Karina Schumacher congratulating him and saying, we're very proud. And Michael always said records were only there to be broken. Yeah. And it was a really nice little touching moment. And you could see Hamilton was, you know, properly choked up by that. So,
he did tend to, he took a step back on that, didn't he?
I don't think he was expecting it. And, you know, it was just a really nice little moment. I just wanted to make sure we touched upon that, you know.
Yeah, no, that was... Yeah, that was very important, I think, because when I look back on Belgium, I do remember Michael winning his first race there as well. And I remember being so excited when he actually won that race. Because I remember him falling off the track, going behind Brundle, seeing Brundle's tyres and then going in for the pits. And it just blew my mind that he could see his tyres at that sort of speed.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think Martin's was down to the canvas at the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just blows my mind. So it's important to get that message from Michael's family at Belgium as well. So yeah, would have taken him back.
And goes without saying that we all really do wish Michael all the best and would love for him to, you know, get better.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. But also respect their wishes for their for their privacy as well.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I know there was a thing a while ago with some paper, some tabloid going on about how it had pictures and all this, and quite rightly, no publication would dare print them, and damn straight too. Bloody
Tossers.
Scum. Yeah,
Ross Brawn came on the grid and gave recognition to Martin Brundle for his 20-odd years doing the grid walk. Which was...
yes, because that was supposed to be back in... Was it the British Grand Prix?
It was supposed to be the British Grand Prix, yeah, and he ended up throwing up somewhere.
He was taken ill, yeah. Partied a bit too hardy.
He probably had one of them dodgy burgers around the corner, I'd imagine.
Probably, yeah.
But anyway...
Probably pulled one of your one out of the bin.
Yeah, what do you mean? Like Martin Brundle's rifling through bins?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the Sky budget, yeah. Anyway, yes, let us get on with the race proper then.
Okay, cool. Well, let's talk about Force India first, because it was...
Really? Did anything happen with Force India?
Well, it was quite a clean start for the race itself, up until a certain point, just after La Source.
You mean that point right after the first corner?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Coming down towards Eau Rouge, and you had the first of two coming togethers down this straight as well of the Force Indias, where it seemed as if Perez pushed Ocon into the wall, or Ocon ended up taking a side swipe to him. So what are your recollections of this? Because Hulkenberg was involved in this as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, so again, it's always the way. First lap, get a bit of a melee going while they get off. And they were going 3 abreast into that, just out of La Source, coming up to Rouge. And you had Perez in the middle, Hulkenberg going on the left, Ocon going down the right. And for whatever reason, Perez wasn't willing to open up the door to let Ocon through. And their wheels touched, and Ocon also touched the wall. So he was like literally hit the wall, hit Perez. He actually rode up slightly. The car caught a little bit of air, but through some miracle, managed to keep everything square and keep going, and didn't seem to lose any time or anything there. And so, yeah, it was at that point. It was like, whoa, that was a bit close. Still, at least they've gotten that out of the way.
Yeah, a bit close though. I don't think you can get any closer. It was
any closer. Ocon would have been in the car with Perez.
Yeah. It was. It turns out that Perez was in a different mode coming down the hill, so he was underpowered. A bit like when Rosberg was in a wrong mode in Spain when Hamilton took both of them out.
Yes.
And we had Hulkenberg on the left-hand side, as you said, Ocon darting down the inside on the right-hand side. And I don't think there was anything that was going to stop him from coming down there, because he did end up overtaking Perez going into Eau Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
And from my point of view, I don't think Perez... I think he had one eye on Hulkenberg and he wasn't looking on his outside. So I don't think he saw Ocon there. I thought in his mind's eye, he had that space to play with, and so was giving Hulkenberg enough room. And
you say that, you see, I almost think the reverse.
Do you? Oh, okay, good.
And I think that I think good. Let the hate flow through you. I think that for 2 reasons. One, they've got form. Perez feels threatened by Ocon, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, Perez was a rising star. When he was with McLaren and everything, he was hot stuff. Brought a lot of money in from Mexico. And as I believe Mine Brundle said in Formula One, you go from being hot stuff to old stuff really quickly in Formula One. In fact, it can happen over the course of a weekend. So I think Perez was trying to assert his dominance, if you will. It's the Formula One version of urinating on the other person.
Yes.
And so he was like, Hulkenberg, I don't give a damn. I'm not really racing Hulkenberg. I've got a Mercedes in the back of my thing. I'll just take him down the bloody Kemmel straight. But you know what? I don't want getting past me. I don't want my teammate getting past me.
Right.
So I think he was trying to... I don't think he was trying to deliberately drive him into the wall, but to make the gaps... I think he wanted to give him 1 car's width and 1 millimeter's worth of clearance.
Okay.
That's all he wanted to give him.
Yeah.
And he just miscalculated slightly. And I think Hulkenberg being there was completely consequential. That's just my impression of it. And as we like to say at the top of the show, neither of us know anything. We are complete idiots just rambling about stuff we don't really understand.
Well said.
We swear a lot as well, just so done the whole thing there.
Yeah, just so you know, yeah. That is interesting. I am on the firm opinion that he was fighting Hulkenberg. He wasn't quite aware, because Ocon did really power down the outside of him there. And like you say, he caught some air and he could have flipped that car. That could have been a nasty, nasty incident. Really bad. But I think there is bad blood between the 2 drivers from Force India. And
do you think?
And I
tell you what, if there wasn't before this race, there definitely is now.
Definitely, yeah. But I think it's going to get worse. I honestly think it's going to get worse. I don't think this is going to be the end of it. And until one of them drivers is out of that car, how that happens, I don't know. But I think this is still going to continue, because we know after the race, they were saying that they're going to try and implement team orders and no more fighting on track, which is...
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah. Okay, it's all right saying it. Will it actually happen? I don't know. I really don't know. But
I mean, the one thing I'll say is the whole defence of, he's focusing on Hulkenberg. And these are supposed to be the 20 best drivers in the world.
Mm.
That's what they're supposed to be. You're really telling me they can't keep their eye on two mirrors at the same time? I just don't buy it.
No, they would be able to. Definitely would be able to.
He knew that Ocon was there. He knew Ocon was coming. Even if he was coming from way back, though, he chose. I mean, if he'd gone the other way, there was plenty of space the other side of Hulkenberg. Plus, as you know, along the after that corner, there's actually a big runoff area, which Kimi Raikkonen used to love running around the outside of.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of space that side for Hulkenberg. So please do not turn around to me, Mr. Perez, and tell me that, your shit don't stink. You could have gone that way. Hulkenberg had plenty of space.
Right. Okay. Look, I get it. And yes, they should be able to keep their eye on two wing mirrors at the same time. And they do. We all know they do. But he was also in the middle of reprogramming a computer at the same time. And I think it wasn't in his mind's eye that there was someone to his right. I think he had total control of the situation with Hulkenberg. He knew where he was positioned with him. Then he was also trying to sort out his power problems. And the right-hand side just went amiss, just for a split second. And it was enough to send Ocon down the outside of him and then into a near crash, which would have been huge. So I see where you're coming from. I know what I'm almost agreeing.
Let me just relate to you one of my favourite sayings, which I believe is from Ian Fleming. It's an old Royal Naval saying: "Once is an accident, twice is a coincidence, 3 times is enemy action."
Okay.
So let's have a look at the season. We had when have they come together?
Azerbaijan straight away.
Well, Azerbaijan. There was one before Azerbaijan, though. That was, there was one before that. Then there was Azerbaijan, and now there was 2 in Spa.
Yep. Okay. I think there's been more as well. I'm sure there's been more.
Those are just the 3 which immediately come to mind, or 4 if you take the 2 from Spa.
Yeah. Okay.
So, I mean, that's, look. Funnily enough, the later incident does somewhat overshadow the earlier one.
It does, yeah.
And he didn't really have the excuse of there was someone on the other side for that one. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, look, you've nearly convinced me into your way of thinking. I'm still in my way of thinking.
Good.
It hasn't happened yet, though. I haven't picked up. I haven't gone for the saber. I haven't gone for my father's saber.
Want this, don't you?
But okay, let's move on to the second situation, which was irredeemably Perez's fault.
Really? Has Perez heard this?
I don't care if he has heard this.
You know what was really funny? You know what was really, really funny? Both of them were willing to take the blame for the first one.
Really?
So if you listen to the post-race one, they both say, "Oh well," Ocon goes, "Oh well, fair enough. I was coming on the inside and it was 3 abreast. That's on me." And then Perez goes, "Oh well, that was on me. I was distracted by Hulkenberg." They both tried to take the blame for that first one, and then blame the other one for the second one.
Right. Okay. So, in the driver's eye, in their mind, it was a racing accident. But they're quite happy to take the blame for that first incident, which is interesting.
Oh, it's classic misdirection. You must have done it with as a kid. You know you're guilty of something, but if you own up to the lesser thing, you've shown you're honest because you've owned up to it. But I didn't do the bad thing.
Yeah.
That was him. It's my brother.
Yeah. Okay. So the second incident, same place, coming down to Eau Rouge, and we've got Ocon going... he took a different line to get out quicker out of Le Source. Sorry.
Well, before we get to that, so a bit of background there. Perez has been given a 5-second penalty for passing over the chicane. Where was it?
That was at the top of the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, Lecombs. He didn't take that properly, and he'd passed. I think it was the Haas. So he was basically given a 5-second penalty.
It was a good move, I thought, up until the point where he went wide.
It was good up until he fucked up.
It was Grosjean as well. He's overtaking Grosjean, and I think there was a Toro Rosso involved in there as well.
Something like that, yeah. So yeah, he went past Rose, was given a 5-second penalty. So Force India decided to pit Perez first to serve the penalty and do all that stuff. And as a result, it ended up he got the undercut effectively on Ocon and ended up on the same bit of tarmac as him. Mm-hmm. And then Ocon was bitching on the radio saying, "Why does Perez get to pit first?" And he goes, "Oh, it's because he had a penalty." And he goes, "It's messed up. I was, I should have preference, pleading his case." So the red mist was already descending on Ocon at that point. He was pissed. And like you said, he got a lot better pull coming around La Source. And yeah, like you said, went to go down the inside, which he tried a bit earlier. And Perez apparently said, no.
Yeah, it was reminiscent of Michael Schumacher pushing Barrichello into the pit wall in Hungary a couple of years ago. Where if the end of the pit lane didn't happen, then there would have been a massive crash. And Perez was just pushing him a bit too far. We all know you got to give one car's width when you're pushing over. And he did that, and he just came along and stuck his right rear tyre where Ocon's left front wing was, and totally ripped off that wing.
And that wing went flying. It nearly cleared the bloody barricade fence.
Yeah, nearly.
So
cleared
I dare say there'll be some talk about getting those things changed before the next race or the next time we come here.
What, higher maybe?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Are you of the opinion that this is Perez's fault again?
100%.
And, well, do you think he should get any penalty points for this? Because I don't think he was given anything for this, was he?
I don't think they're doing it because I think the FIA has taken the opinion that the team are going to discipline the pair of them.
Okay.
Because I think it was Brundle was saying, if it wasn't both in the same cars, they would 100% be penalised for it.
Yeah.
But because they were the team, they're, I think, effectively, with their whole hands-off philosophy, wherever possible, letting the team do their thing. Yeah. Fair enough, I suppose. But yeah, it was definitely, in my opinion, it was Perez's fault. The only argument you can make for Ocon is, well, you shouldn't have tried to pass there. Or you should have tried to overtake him. And at that point, as Ayrton Senna famously said once, if you see a gap and you don't take it, then you're no longer racing.
Yeah, that's right.
It was inexcusable. We saw three abreast earlier, on lap 1. You're telling me 2 cars can't fit down that section?
Well, we know that 2 cars can go into Eau Rouge. Mark Webber did it a couple of years ago as well.
Yep.
And it was a fantastic manoeuvre. If he's going to do you, let him do you and then get him back.
Exactly, because if he'd have let him by, he could have tucked in behind him, gotten a drag all the way down the Kemmel Straight, and again, taken him into Les Combes. And
we saw a lot of drags up the Kemmel as well.
We did.
A lot of it. There always is. Yeah, you may have been a bit out of position going into Eau Rouge, but no, there's no excuse for pushing a driver into the wall and your teammate into the wall as well, especially twice.
It's completely unacceptable. No. It is it's beyond a pale. It is the first rule of motor racing is you do not take out your teammate. I mean, yes, the first person you have to beat is your teammate, but the one car you can't take out is your teammate.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think Perez did himself any favours doing this.
So where do Force India go from here now? Because they have hinted that they're going to say, turn around and say
they've not hinted. They've come straight out and said we are imposing team orders from now on. Our drivers are not allowed to race each other. And
I know we said it earlier on, but do you reckon that'll fly?
Well, I mean, they've come out and said they will institute race bans. The thing you got to bear in mind is I don't think either of them are signed for next year. Could be wrong there, but at the end of the day, fine. You've got a race ban. You know what? We've got what? There's 3 drivers for every seat in Formula One at the minute. Hungry young drivers who want to have a crack at something.
Yep.
There's no hell. There's experienced drivers out there who might be up for a comeback just for a one-off. So yeah, I think they're comfortably fourth. I don't see there's any way that Williams are not going to pass them, not on the evidence of today's form.
Yeah.
They're not going to catch Red Bull. I think they know that's the case. So yeah, they can afford to race ban one or even both of them potentially, and still not suffer any sort of financial penalty. So yeah, I kind of hope they do that.
Well, there's rumours that one or both of the drivers are looking to get away from Force India to jump into the Renault.
Yes.
Which makes sense from a driver's perspective because Hulkenberg did it to get into a team that does its own engine.
A works team.
Yeah, sorry, a works team. And he doesn't seem to have regretted that decision to do that. He knows that it is a long shot to do that. And
it's a long-term project. It's something you don't necessarily do that unless it's the Mercedes and expect to win straight away.
But would there be room for one Fernando Alonso to jump in there? I know people are growling at that, grumbling at me saying that as well, but it's a bloody good car.
It's certainly it's a very good car with Hulkenberg.
No, I'm thinking Alonso into the Force India, the vacant seat.
Oh yes, well, because the big rumor of the weekend was that he might be going to Williams, which, based on the evidence, that's a sidestep. Well, it depends. If you remember when Ross Brawn moved to Honda, he said it's a 3-year project before he can get Honda to win. And Honda pulled out after 2. And then they won as Brawn. Paddy Lowe, I think, is an engineer of the caliber of Ross Brawn as a team manager. He's moved over there. It's going to take him at least 3 years, I think, to really make an impact in Williams. Mm-hmm. So if he was to, so let's say for sake of argument, Alonso was to sign a 3-year deal, he's got a chance of winning come the 3rd year. And at least for the next 2 years, if they can sort out the car, they know with that engine can win races.
Yeah.
That engine is reliable. I mean, again, outside of Malaysia last year, when was the last time we really saw a customer Mercedes die?
Yeah, it's true.
And I think at this point, I think Alonso would be quite happy if he could just know that he could go down a straight and not get overtaken by everything and its mother.
But, okay, think about this. That Force India's still got exactly the same engine in the back of that car. And it's further up the grid. It's one place ahead of the Williams at the moment.
Oh, no, I totally get what you're saying. I'm just saying I haven't heard that rumour. I've not heard anyone talking about it.
I'm just thinking about it now. It's just come from my own work, shall we say.
Yes. No, well, it's, yes, it is eminently possible.
Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, so we don't think that the Force Indias, they'll try to impose this position of no dogfighting on track. We know that they're going to be joined at the hip all the way through the rest of the season because they have been all the way through the first half of this season.
Well, again, there are ways they can police it. I mean, they can. So it might be a case of, whoever qualifies first has priority in the race. Or it might be whoever is ahead at the end of lap 1 has priority for the race.
Yeah.
And, if you find yourself behind your teammate, tough, you're gonna up your qualifying game, that sort of thing. And they can police it because at the end of the day, if they're not paying attention in the race and they come into the pits, they can just sit there, wait till the other guy's gone by and then put the tyres on. You are at the mercy of the team. I'm not saying they would ever do that, but it's an option. Yes,
it is, yeah. Are Force India guilty of this? Because it's just popped in my head because Ocon didn't really know exactly what was going on until Perez had already pitted, and then he asked the question as to what was going on. Surely they should have been on the radio telling him exactly what they're doing so as to preempt his tantrum that he's going to be throwing.
I don't think so. My understanding of teams are, you've effectively got two teams. You have one car, second car, and you got your team boss in the middle. But the drivers only really speak to their race engineer. Their race engineer only really speaks to his side of the garage. He'll get instructions for overall strategy, but they're riding their own race. So, I think they were just focusing on that.
Okay.
And hell, at the end of the day, it's none of his damn business, really.
Well, yeah, he should be able just to take whatever position they want him to take the pit stop in, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm thinking, just to avoid that situation building up, look, we're doing this with him because of this, and so that's why he's in first. And then it stops all of them questions and, I'm being hard done by.
Well, I totally get where you're coming from with that. Though. Again, I don't think they, for an instance, thought that sort of thing was going to happen.
It's dangerous driving, though, isn't it? It's unsportsman conduct. It's dangerous driving.
It's causing a collision. I mean, yeah, like I said, he should be banged to rights, to be honest.
If that piece had gone into the crowd, or if it hit a marshal, then there's so many questions, ifs and buts as well. So I don't want to see that again. I do from a viewer's perspective, from the bloody hell, something to talk about, the water cooler the next day, but about my favourite sport and what's going on and bringing it into disrepute that kind of way, no, that's not good. That's really not good.
No.
Especially with teammates as well. So anyway, let's talk about happier times.
Oh yes,
Max Verstappen. He did well, didn't he?
Didn't he do well? Show him what he could have won.
Yeah, exactly. He started 5th, and by lap 8, he was out of the race. Oh dear.
He was not a happy bunny.
No, he lost power. What does it say on the final? Yeah, power unit went. I think he came through the bus stop. He accelerated across the start finishing line, and it kind of went into limp home mode type thing.
Yeah.
And then he got to Eau Rouge, went through Eau Rouge very slowly, which scared me buggery. That was not pleasant to watch. And I'd imagine sat in that car, poodling around Eau Rouge while the cars are heading towards you, that would have scared the bejesus out of you.
Yeah, you're going to have a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. Especially over the crest of that hill at Radion.
Oh, yeah.
Where
do you remember? Was it was it last year or the year before? Magnussen? Yeah, it was last year. Magnussen had that nasty crash.
That's right.
Where the headrest went popping off of there.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that was not pleasant. Actually, which reminds me, we've had some feedback which we forgot to mention before.
Yeah, well, okay.
Which directly relates into this. So why didn't you do it now?
Okay, all right, well, okay. Stall for a second while I bring it up.
Yes. There will now be a brief intermission.
Here we go, guys. It's from Michael Da Silva. And he says, "Hey guys, glad to hear I was the first email to receive in the new inbox." Yes, you was. Well done. Just watched the Belgian Grand Prix and was sad to see Verstappen had another DNF, but very happy to see Ricciardo had another podium finish. I'm a massive Danny fan since I grew up about 20 kilometres from where he did in Perth, Western Australia. Question I have is, there seems to be a massive discrepancy in the reliability of the two Red Bull cars, and I keep hearing that it's just Max having extremely bad luck. Now, you would have to think that Danny would have a lot of the same woes as Max, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Do you think that all of Max's DNFs can be put down to bad luck, or is it a matter that he is pushing the car beyond its safe limits? Or are the Red Bulls just rubbish cars and Danny is somehow able to nurse the car enough to get these results? Keep up the stellar job, Mike. So there we go.
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. And if you do have any feedback that you'd like to send after the races, then please send it to boxboxbox@grandprixpodcast.com and we will endeavour to read it on the show. So, what do you think about what he just said there? Is it Danny's fault? Is it Red Bull's fault? Or is it Max's fault?
It's the fault of... it's the Renault's fault, effectively. I mean, as the whole... Yeah, Max seems to be getting all of the bad luck. Mm-hmm. But if you think back to last year, Lewis was getting all the bad luck in the Mercedes. Yep. Every engine failure was one of his. A couple of years before that, Rosberg, he couldn't get a break for love nor money. Hell, if you go back maybe 10 years to when Vettel and Webber were in the Red Bulls, there was one season, and if Webber didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have had any luck at all.
That's right. Yeah.
It's it's one of those ones, and I know it often feels like when your favorite driver's just having a run of bad luck, and the other car isn't. It's very easy to point fingers and say, well, there's nothing wrong with the other car, so ergo it must be the conspiracy. I'm not saying you're saying it's a conspiracy, but I think at the end of the day, it's just the way things happen. And again, it's one of those things where we never. It is very easy to ignore the good luck or the good driving that someone could have. I don't think he's overdriving the car. I think all the problem. Okay, maybe he's overdriving the car. You got to remember a lot of Max's problems this year. He's caused 2 collisions, or been involved in 2 collisions. One wasn't his fault. Then he drove into Danny Ricciardo, and in a couple of those instances, he done fucked up. So he would be a lot further up if it weren't for those, which aren't his thing. But as far as the engine woes, I mean, the problem's the Renault. It's still a bit of a delicate engine. I think what you'll find is the way the Red Bulls do with their aero package, they go very, very skinny, kind of like what McLaren do. So I think that compromises cooling efficiency. Mm-hmm. Things get hot, things break. And it just might be something about Max's style is maybe just putting a bit more heat into something, or just something's just not quite right that they don't understand, and it's just breaking something.
Yeah. Well, look how quick Hamilton was to point the finger at either the team or someone else. Sometimes it is just bad luck, but he was very adamant that it was a conspiracy against him that Mercedes, the German team, want the German boy to win. And
you got to understand all these drivers, all of them, with a few exceptions, have very fragile egos at the end of the day. Mm. Every one of those 20 people out there honestly believes they are the best driver in the world. Honestly believes if they were in the Mercedes right now, or if they were in the Red Bull 10 years ago, or if they were in the Ferrari 20 years ago, they would have been the world champion.
Yeah.
So if the problem isn't them, it obviously must be the car or something else. That's just the way of it. I mean, I don't like seeing Max suffer like this. Because he's an exciting racer, but it's part of the growing you have to do as a driver. I think you have to endure some of these sort of seasons to become a more all-rounder. Mm. At least that is my thoughts.
No, Yeah, I do agree. I think sometimes bad luck just follows a driver around. Look at Johnny Herbert in the late mid-90s. He practically finished most of the races in 7th position out of the points, when you used to score up until 6th position. And think of the amount of points that he would have had in the championship. He would have been not up there, but he would have been at least on the scoreboard most of the time. And yet it was just, next race I might get in there. And I feel, I suppose there was a bit of conspiracy. I love a conspiracy theory. And
Elton's tinfoil hat is legendary around these parts.
I love them. I really do. I live for them sometimes. And I can find myself easily falling into them as well. And when it was the Mercedes is breaking in Hamilton's car, you just put the German team and the German driver and then the English driver, and you just create something in your own mind that, yeah, it could possibly happen. And so thus it does happen. And they're easy to get started as well, aren't they? These conspiracy theories. So
they are, but I will just point out, you have to understand, the teams get the engines effectively as sealed units. They're not allowed to open them up, not allowed to touch them really. They're all monitored by the FIA.
Yeah, they have their seals on them, don't they?
They've got their seals. And you have representatives from the engine manufacturers who are kind of responsible for the engine. You'll have every Mercedes team has a Mercedes man there solely working on the engine.
Yep.
He's not allowed to know anything about the air or anything like that. He's sworn to secrecy and everything like that. But he's embedded in the team just to look at the engine. Same with the Renault, same with the Ferraris, same with the Tinker Toys. So it's just one of those cases that... Yeah.
Another little dig.
no. But yeah, it's so yeah. There's just no realistic way to sabotage the engine without someone knowing about it. And I can promise you, Renault. The last thing Renault want is one of their engines costing one of the most exciting and, let's face it, vocal drivers on the grid a lot of grief,
and possibly one of two only chances of actually winning a race as well.
Yeah. And again, Max Verstappen is kind of the chosen of Helmut Marko.
Yeah.
You remember, he got bumped up over Danny Kvyat in there sort of thing. So if this was happening to Ricciardo, I might be more inclined to entertain it, just because I always think Helmut Marko just kind of reminds me of like some Karl Rove sinister figure in the background, But I can't see them sabotaging Verstappen.
Yeah,
he's their golden boy.
Yeah, it's just luck of the draw, really, isn't it? I feel.
Yeah, it is. He's got his bad luck this season. He could go he can go from the next race onward and not have another DNF potentially, and that's just it. I mean, I think there is a psychological element to it. Going back briefly to MotoGP, I remember Sete Gibernau was a rider, back in, I think, I'm going back now, maybe 2005, got into a massive row with Rossi. And Rossi declared after one race where he felt particularly wronged by Gibernau, "You will never win another MotoGP race." And he declared it with such ferocity that over the next few races next season, things started to go wrong, and people started to buy into this curse. And it messes with their minds, and you start over driving and stuff like that, and it's it's part of it. So
way to screw up a rider's career, crying out loud. That's brilliant.
Oh no, Rossi, he comes across as fun and games, but he is. There's a reason he's still racing at nearly 40. He's a very shrewd operator.
Yeah. Okay.
But we digress. Back to four wheels. Yeah, I don't think we can really put it down to anything other than just bad luck. In the same way Hamilton had it last year. And again, as Hamilton pointed out, there was, I don't know, a dozen Mercedes engines on the grid, and only his were failing.
Yeah, it's just weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
If it was across the board, then maybe you could just turn around and say, well, okay, it's my turn. But if it's your turn next time, if life works that way, life will be so much easier for so many other people. And it just doesn't work.
The worst thing is, if it was across the board and it was an obvious problem, then at least the manufacturers can go and look for the problem. They've got enough data to figure it out. But when it's just one, and it's never the same thing. I mean, this time it sounded like it was potentially a gearbox issue. No, it was one of the MGU systems. Wasn't deploying, I think they said.
Right.
But yeah, when it's different things all the time, and it's just shitty luck.
Okay, cool. Well, his retirement brought out a yellow flag.
Oh yes, double wave yellows because there were marshals on the track.
And this caused a bit of problems for one Kimi Räikkönen.
Yes.
Because everyone else had shown that they'd lifted going through the double waved yellows, which is mandatory because double wave yellows means that there are marshals on the track and be prepared to stop.
Slow down and be prepared to stop.
Yeah.
What it really is they want the driver to acknowledge that they have seen the wave yellows.
Yeah.
And the way they do that is by lifting. Show me lifting. It's a bit like when you're doing your driving test. You can glance at your mirror, but you have to move your whole head to show you've looked in your mirror.
Yeah.
It's literally that sort of a thing. It's really little more than a courtesy because, as Martin Brundle points out, all you have to do is take your foot off a throttle for a second and then put it down again. You drop 3 miles an hour and the FAA are satisfied that you slowed down.
Yeah, which indicates that.
Yeah, and as he pointed out, hitting an obstacle at 190 or hitting an obstacle at 186, there's not a lot of a difference there.
No.
But they want to see that you've seen it and acknowledged it, basically.
Yeah. And out the top 4, top 6 drivers at that time, Kimi Räikkönen, well, out of the whole grid, I suppose, Kimi Räikkönen was the only person who didn't actually lift. There was a time where he went through there was clearly lights flashing yellow. There was flags double waved. We could see Max Verstappen's car pulled over to the side, off the track, by the way, and being prepared to be moved back behind the barriers. But he didn't lift.
He didn't lift, but that's really not the point.
Yeah.
Because Kimi doesn't know what's going on the track. Kimi doesn't know where the marshals are. Kimi might assume that it's a double wave yellows because of Verstappen's car there, but for all he knows, 100 yards further up the road, there's some debris or something on the track or whatever. I mean, look, I kind of take his points that the car was off the track, ready to go, but he was banged to rights, I'm afraid.
Oh, yeah.
Double wave yellows, what mean marshals are on the track. You've got to respect that.
Yeah, and we had all this palaver after the Jules Bianchi issue as well, didn't we? Where people weren't lifting. And all of a sudden, Kimi Räikkönen has forgotten all about that. It's just... It is,
I was
disgusting.
very disappointed. I was disappointed with his reaction when he was told. Like it was just like why? Why did I have to slow down? The car was off the side of the road. And that's my point. It's just like, look, mate, you're not race control. You don't know what's going on outside of your cockpit.
Yeah.
Look, you've been racing a long time, and I respect you as one of the greatest drivers of all time. But, mate, be humble.
Yeah.
If someone's double wave yellows, you slow down and prepare to stop. And yeah, I mean, the penalty he got reflects how seriously that they took that.
I'm sorry, he's bang out of order for doing it. Really is.
And we know how much you love Kimi. So.
Yeah, and I'm. It really hurts to say, but I'm disgusted at his attitude towards it. It's just... I don't care if his car's off the side of... This is the reason why we've got the virtual safety car, which I don't like. And if this carries on, then they're going to... Okay, fine, guys. We're going to take this out of your hands. We'll throw a virtual safety car. And it just ruins the whole thing, and then people lose and people gain. You got to be sensible. You got to be the double waved. Be prepared to stop at 190 miles.
And as we pointed out, though, all they want is the courtesy of you showing you've acknowledged it. That's all they want, and you can't be bothered to do that. It's very disrespectful in my opinion. Because again, he could have just blipped the throttle at that point, and you're fine. Yeah. But he felt that it was beneath him.
No, that's not right. There was a situation, I think in '98, I think it was, where Mika Häkkinen just threw his hand up to say that he'd acknowledged the yellow flag, but kept his foot planted. And personally, I didn't agree with that because I was on Michael Schumacher's side at the time. I wanted him to win over McLaren. But yeah, I still don't agree with it. Putting your hand up does not signify I'm prepared to stop. Lifting off shows that you're in control, your feet are moving in the right direction kind of thing. Putting your hand out just means I've now got one hand off the wheel. If there's a marshal on the track, it's just not good enough. So
no, I get that, and I agree to a point. But again, what the FIA want is acknowledgement that you have seen it.
Yeah,
they want acknowledgement that you understand it, that you are aware. Like I said, it's like if you're doing your driving test, they want to see your head move towards the mirror. Because when you're driving properly, you don't necessarily turn your head; you just glance.
Yeah,
and that's fine when you're just driving. When you're doing your test, they need to see the movement. They need to. It's got to be a big move, and that's what they're looking for here. They're just looking for you to show that I've seen it. And, again, if raising your hand shows that you have seen it, fine. Yeah. At least they know you've acknowledged it. You are, because again, let's face it, these cars with their brakes and, again, the reaction of these drivers, if they decide they need to jump on the brakes, they're going to stop pretty damn quick.
Yes.
Certainly more so than just lifting and then planting your foot again.
And they got the car control to put the car where they want and narrowly miss whatever's going on that track as well. Or give it a bloody good go.
So, I mean, I don't know when the hand kind of went out of favour. I think it was probably when they got the higher sides on the cars, and it's a bit harder now to see your hands and stuff like that. Fine. But, Kimi, look, sorry, mate. Lift off the damn throttle. It is not that difficult.
He's also been given 3 penalty points for this, which some would say was a bit harsh. I'm quite happy with this. This is
the problem I have here is I think this is the correct penalty, but now you have people pointing to what Vettel got back in Azerbaijan. I think there needs to be a penalty between this and disqualification from the race. Maybe go a lap down or something like that. I don't know what it is, but because of what Vettel did, this penalty now seemed overly harsh when it's not. This is what he should have had. But when you consider what Vettel did, ramming the back of Lewis behind a safety car, and he gets the same penalty, that just seems like it's a much more serious offence.
Yeah.
So I feel like there needs to be a slightly more severe penalty above the 10-second stop and go that can be done when you do really stupid shit.
There does, but also remember we have the driver stewards which change each race. By the way, your microphone's crackling. I think it was Mika Salo this time out, and I can't remember the last time I've seen Mika Salo doing the driver stewards. So, it is an interpretation of what is going on in the race at that time, and no, it's a good thing because history isn't applied to it, but also a bad thing because history isn't applied to it. You could have someone saying, well, I applied this penalty towards this person at that time, and so really this is worse, so maybe I should apply a little bit more penalty this time round. It kind of doesn't work like that. It should be on every incident analysed at that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want more than anything else is consistency.
Yeah.
We just want to know that, you're driving from the same hymn sheet, basically. But yeah, I mean, I think we're both of the agreement that, sorry, Kimi, you do not have a leg to stand on here.
You done fucked up. And
you
fucked
done
up
fucked
big
up,
time.
son.
Yeah. This was a major no-no, and especially when he's coming on the radio and saying, well, he was on the side of the road. Yeah, we know, but, do you remember them yellow flags that were waving? That's what we got the bugbear with.
Yeah. That is not the point, Kimi.
Yeah. Also, another person I'd like to dig out a little bit.
Sure.
Mr. Alonso.
Yes. Like I said, we're in bizarro world here.
Yeah. He was bitching, whinging and whining all the way through that race. And
I will say this.
Go on.
Fair enough. Because all the way through the summer, he's been promised, finally, now, Honda were going to sort their shit out.
Mm-hmm.
All the way through the summer, all we heard from Honda was, we're on top of it, we're making gains, we're bringing it to Spa, it's going to be sorted, it's going to be good.
And what happened?
What do you think happened? It's fucking Honda.
Oh dear. Honda are the new Skoda, really, aren't they?
No, don't besmirch the name of Skoda like that. The new Ladas, perhaps.
But yeah, he was bitching all the way through the race. And there's a question mark above why he retired as well.
Oh, there's not a question mark. He said, fuck it, basically.
Oh, yeah, do you know what? I've just seen on the results. It
says Alonso decision.
I hadn't seen that. It was Alonso's decision. That's brilliant. I want that as a permanent answer to a driver pulling out. So if Kvyat decides, no, I can't do it anymore, it's Alonso's decision. That's the name of it now. Flipping hell. So he decided, because it is rumoured that he does this. You've said that he does this as well.
Oh, he's come out himself and said it to Spanish newspapers. He has said, if he's running in the race and there's no chance of points, he will give it his maximum. But if he gets to a certain point and there's no chance of him getting into the points, he's just going to retire the car.
Because the first 2 laps, he looked really good.
Oh, there was him fighting with Hülkenberg. Magnificent.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing. I was like, yes! Really, really well done. But yeah, and then he just started going backwards, and every time he got on the Kemmel straight, basically.
Yeah, it was before DRS. I think the batteries weren't charging up correctly in his car. He wasn't able to deploy the correct amount of electricity that he could. He was having a good scrap with with Hülkenberg and Ocon on lap 2, where they went 3 abreast into one of the corners, which was just waiting for something to happen, and it didn't, and it was beautiful.
And you can see why he is still so highly regarded, because it was magnificent.
Yeah, but then when the DRS came into effect, he was a sitting duck.
Yeah.
That was it. He was just gone, and he dropped further and further back, and I've got no problems in him bitching about the motor, and it is funny up to a certain point, but this went beyond funny and downright rude to everyone that he was working with. My opinion.
I take your opinion. I totally see where you're coming from. I mean, I think, this is just a man who is so frustrated and just doesn't see a way out. And again, he was out there, trying to do a test. I mean, he keeps lavishing praise on McLaren and the team. So I don't think his problem's there.
Well, and he was really trying to make that adamant that was the situation as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, but again, we know Alonso is not one to mince his words. If he has problems, he will tell you. He probably won't necessarily tell you in the English papers. He'll tell the Spanish papers. And every time you speak to him, he's always full of praise for the McLaren team and saying, "Yeah, I like it here. I want to stay with McLaren. I think, we could win. We could do stuff." I mean, he said if it wasn't for the Honda engine, he thinks McLaren would have been the fastest cars at Spa. Possibly, fair enough. Who's to say? But yeah, I just, if I was him, I'd have retired the card up as well, to be honest, at that point.
I understand why. I just don't like him turning around saying, no more radio. That's it. It's the driver's equivalent of crossing your arms and taking your ball home.
Oh, to be fair, it's not the first time we've seen that either. And you know what? What we're going to tell him, so-and-so's catching up on you. So-and-so's about to pass you. So-and-so's going quicker than you. I mean, like he said, he was just treating it as a test at the end.
Yeah.
I totally get where you're coming from, and to a certain extent I agree. But it was just... I'm amazed he was as patient as he was, to be honest.
Right, are we seeing the straw that broke the camel's back now? Have we reached that point? Because it's all been fun and games. It's been laughing at Honda for their expense. And yeah, okay, Alonso, we know you're great. We know your engine shit. We know the car's good. But we sympathise with you. And now he's kind of, no, I've had fun. And now this is getting bloody ridiculous. This is 2.5 years of just stupid results.
Possibly. I mean, the thing is, he has said repeatedly he wants to be in Formula One if he's in competitive machinery. Ferrari are locked down now. There's no seats there. Mercedes are locked down now. There's no seats there.
Yep.
Red Bull aren't going to take him. They're just not. Those are really the 3 competitive seats. Now, if you could stick a Mercedes in the back of a McLaren, maybe so.
Yeah.
And I know what they've said publicly. That's still not a never say never sort of thing. Hell, it was never say never that Alonso would go back to McLaren. Things can be worked out, deals can be spun, everything like that's doable. But it would almost be worth him taking a year out, I reckon.
Yeah.
Because next year there's a lot. In 2019, there's a lot more opportunities there. But you're also in a situation that there's a lot of young drivers wanting to come through.
Yeah, and if he takes that year out, will there be a seat for him?
Well, he's still regarded as one of the best developmental drivers. He kind of knows. He knows a car. He knows what's working. He knows what's not. So I can see there could potentially still be a place for him there, but he's just not going to get in one of the current winning teams, I don't see, because again, I just don't see Mercedes needing or wanting to pay for him unless Hamilton decides to bugger off.
Yeah. No, I can't see that happening. No, I think there's other Mercedes drivers waiting in the wing. You have Ocon as well, waiting in the wing. He could jump into a Mercedes.
You got Ocon, you got Pascal Wehrlein.
Yeah, which looks like that won't happen anytime soon.
Yeah. You've got, you got Ocon there. It's not going to happen, is it?
No, it's not. No.
It's definitely not going to happen with Ferrari. There's not enough humble pie in the world for them to make that work.
Yeah. So Alonso's decision then. I know we've spoken about this before, but is he correct in doing this? Because he was lap 25, just over halfway on this race, and he's already decided that's it, that's enough. Is that the correct decision? Because there's a long way to go still in that race.
There's a long way to go there, but he was so vulnerable along the straights that short of everyone retiring from 10th backwards, he wasn't going to get a point. Because again, even if everything went topsy-turvy sideways, you're so vulnerable to the top speed there. He just doesn't have any options. I mean, let's face it, the only reason they really got up into Q2 was from towing each other.
Yeah.
So, in that respect, yeah, I think Alonso is a driver who is experienced enough to know when he's just pissing in the wind. And I think, that's what he felt he was doing. It's just like, I've got better shit to do than this. Plus, again, we know reliability these days, you know. Save the engine, save the gearbox. What's the point in overstressing that?
Save the engine to be slower at another track.
Well, potentially, but, you know, again, it's components. I don't know which components are fucking up here.
No, that's true.
It just might be a situation where they say, okay, well, we can use the MGUH is fine. So if one fails later down the line, they can go back to this one, you know.
I love Honda's spider graph that they have for the units used, where you're supposed to maybe creep into 5 if you have a problem, but Honda's is like 8, 9 all the way round. It's just crazy, you know, using them amount of components. It's just bonkers, but
it is. It's look, like you said, you know, it's getting past the joke at this point. We've had a lot of fun ribbing Honda, and all that, but, you know, it's getting sad. It's like, you know, kicking the special kid at this point.
Yeah.
And it's inexcusable, frankly. It was really a company of that level still just not being able to get their shit together.
Yeah. Shall we, for the Italian Grand Prix, try not to kick Honda?
No.
Okay, fair
look,
play.
it's no, straight up. If Honda, because again, next time out they're supposed to bring their V4 of the engine.
Right.
I think it's look. I'm sorry, Honda. You tell us you're bringing gains and they don't materialize. No, you don't find it. You are the largest engine manufacturer on the planet. I mean, you have a bloody annual turnover which is about the size of a GDP of a small country.
Yeah.
You know, you have got some of the greatest minds in the world. I mean, today I have been down at the Science Museum and they got an exhibit on robotics. And they've got these Honda robots there, you know, the ones that do all the walking and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. You could do magnificent stuff. You've got some of the smartest people on the world working in your company. But your arrogance and your inability, until quite recently, to put your hands up and say, we done fucked up, has led to this mess. And you're dragging down one of the greatest Formula One teams there has ever been. Like them all over them, you know, they have been a staple of Formula One since the 80s. You drove in on here on a bloody trail of nostalgia, you know, conveniently forgetting the last time you were in Formula One.
Yeah, nostalgia
and
does not win races.
Fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, if this was the 1940s, I'm pretty sure most of you executives would be committing seppuku right now.
The safety car. The safety car came out after the Ocon and Perez incident, didn't it?
Did it really? I must have missed that. Were any of the drivers maybe mentioning this on the radio?
One may have, yes. One, Lewis Hamilton, was mentioning that the safety car came out. I have no problems in them throwing the safety car because there was debris all over the track. It needed to be cleaned up, and it was all up the Kemmel Straight as well.
Mm-hmm.
We had Perez's wheel delaminate and fall off at the top of the straight. There was carbon fibre strewn going into Eau Rouge, so that needed to be cleaned up. It was probably through Eau Rouge and over Radion as well. So there was plenty of stuff to be cleared up. So throwing the safety car was the only option in this. So we're both agreed on that, yeah?
We are.
Okay, so safety car comes out. Did it seem slow to you? The safety car.
Safety car always seems slow to me because compared to a Formula One car, it is.
Yeah.
Look, Bert Mylander's been, you know, a professional driver. You know, he has enough professional pride in his work that he's not going to deliberately drive slow, even if asked. Mm-hmm. You know, he's just, you know, I think, you know, he likes to try and make it to the point where the Formula One cars have to try and keep up. You know, it's that sort of a thing. My issue with the safety car period is the safety car rule of letting the back markers unlap themselves.
Right.
Because it takes too long. You know what you want to do? let them drop to the back and say they've unlapped themselves.
No, that won't work.
Why not?
Because of fuel.
But they're... What, so they'll have more fuel available?
They'll have one
It's still
lap.
at the back.
They'll have
still
one
at the back
lap.
of the grid.
Yeah, but they'll have one lap more fuel in their tank, which they could burn more richer.
Still at the back of the grid.
They are still no. You need to complete. They've completed less miles. That doesn't work for me.
I mean, it was painfully slow, just waiting for Ericsson to slowly get past the field and then shoot off down the road and all that. Or then for me, then it's don't let them unlap themselves.
The problem is this is the largest circuit on the circus, so it's going to take time for him to get to the back of the grid again. I've never had any problems with unlapping. I'm quite happy to make it fair for everyone to put them all back on at least the lead lap, or maybe unlap themselves from that point of view. I've always been a fan of that, and I will. At the moment, I'm not detracting from that whatsoever. We'll stick with that for now. From my point of view, the safety car, yes, they always look slow compared to the Formula 1 cars anyway, but it did seem slower. For whatever reason, I do not know. We've all seen safety cars going around all the circuits on the circus, and sometimes they look slower than others, and sometimes they look like they're whizzing round, and you still know that the Formula 1 cars can blow their doors off. Mm-hmm. And yet, this time out, it did seem slow. I'm not saying it was slow, it just seemed slow. And I think it was down to the amazing speed from that Mercedes under Lewis Hamilton's right foot, where he can just accelerate, and by the time he's just put his foot down to the floor, he's already too close to that safety car. Do we need a different type of car? Do we need like a modified LMP1 car doing this instead?
Oh, I'd fucking love that.
How cool would that be?
That would be fucking awesome. But then you would have a situation where the LMP1 car might end up showing up the Formula 1 car. We can't have that. I don't know. The only person who was complaining vocally anyway about the speed of a safety car was Lewis.
Yeah.
And I think that was just because he was a little bit rattled. He knew that the Ferraris had the pace to pass him effectively. And we've seen this in the past. You know, it's not quite going his way. He gets a bit nervous. You know, he gets inside his head, starts rattling around. I think that's all it was, to be honest. Because again, second the start went off and it went okay for him. Didn't hear him gripe again the entire time. Didn't hear anyone else down the grid complaining the safety car was too slow. Didn't hear Vettel complaining about it.
No, we didn't. No, I think he was
and let's
the
face
only
it,
guy.
Vettel is not one to, again, shy away from letting his feelings known.
Was it Hamilton that turned around and said this was bullshit?
Yes, it was Hamilton.
And that was just because all the debris was cleared up and he wanted to get racing, but we were waiting for Ericsson to get to the back of the pack.
Yes.
Right. Because it did seem to be out for longer than what I thought. Do you know what? I'd be happy if Ericsson got halfway up to the back and then they said, no, look, we got to go racing. Let's go. Maybe.
But again, you kind of, what's the point in that then? Because again, he's just going to end up getting past again. You know, you're in that halfway house again. You either don't let them unlap themselves, or you send them to the back, or you make them go all the way around again. You can't let them just get a bit ahead of them, because all you're doing is, what was the point in letting them get out of the train in the first place?
Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe that is wrong, yeah. I'm just wondering.
But I mean, I take your point about the fuel, but for me, hell, I think it makes for slightly tastier racing.
So what? Just
you've got one. you've got one of the top cars because of an incident or something like that has ended up at the back of the grid, and now it's unlapped itself, in finger quotes, gone to the back of the grid, but now it could turn up its engine. I'm up for that. Fuck yeah.
There's something wrong about that, though. I get it. I like the sound of it, though.
There's something wrong about things like fuel load and tyres dictating the racing anyway.
Yeah.
There just is. But, like I said, look, generally speaking, the cars that are going to be lapped are your Saubers, your McLarens, a Renault, and your McLarens, right? Mm-hmm. Generally speaking, right? All of those cars, they're down on power, down on downforce, whatever, you're not great. So they get lapped. Now, safety car comes out. They're told they can unlap themselves. So those cars all move to the back. But you know what happens now? They got richer engine modes. So you know what? They're fighting in the midfield now. They can do that.
Okay. Yeah, I get your point. Yeah, okay. I'll give you that one. Yeah. I'll let you have it for today. Until next time we meet on this subject.
Until next time we meet on the field of battle.
Yeah. Under the safety car, when that was released, Magnussen nearly took out his teammate, which was highly hilarious, going into the bus stop. So there was brake locked all over the place on that. So that was good fun to watch. Mm-hmm. And then I felt that we had a Mercedes driving as fast as he could in the form of Hamilton, and Vettel keeping him humble.
Honest?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you heard, but apparently Lewis was in the wrong engine mode.
Really?
So what happened was, again, like I've said before, I think Lewis was a bit wound up by the safety car, caught up in his own head.
Yeah.
And, you got all the engine modes and the stuff to get the pulling away. And the Ferrari was on the ultra softs at this point, the Mercedes on the super softs. So in theory, the Ferrari had the quicker tyre for getting away initially. But what happened is Hamilton went into the wrong engine mode. So he was actually a bit slower coming through La Source and En Rouge.
Yeah.
But because he was slower there, Vettel caught up with him too quickly. And he wasn't in a position to overtake, but he wasn't quite in a position to take a tow. So that when Hamilton got the engine mode right again and he could open up a bit of a gap, Vettel dropped back a bit more and wasn't in a position to capitalise when he got to Les Combes.
Right, okay.
So because of that, a happy accident effectively, Lewis was able to, again, stay ahead.
So it looked good for us.
It looked good for us. It looked really tasty. If everything had gone to plan for Lewis and he was in the right engine mode, Vettel would have probably taken him along the Kemmel Straight.
Mm. Interesting. Also, Martin Brundle on the commentary turned around at one point and he said Vettel has Hamilton pegged for speed. Now, maybe Martin should have looked on Urban Dictionary and checked out what pegging actually means. So maybe
I would highly advise no one listening to do that.
I'm just saying, it just popped in my head. I'm like, well, maybe. No.
As long as that's the only place it popped.
Yeah, that was it. I promise you. But, that was it. Anything else that you want to mention about this race? Because, okay, did you enjoy it?
By and large, I did enjoy it, mostly from a lot of the drama brought up by the Force Indias. Mm-hmm. Prior to that point, again, I love the Spa race circuit. It's a nice fast circuit. Even when it's a little bit processional, though, you feel the speed, you feel the skill of them weaving up around En Rouge and along the straights up there. This is like Monaco with overtaking, if you will. Again, you got that same level of skill, weaving the apexes perfectly, which was great. But at the same time, once, the cat and mouse between Lewis and Vettel was fine. Midfield was great. I mean, the battle for 7th at one point had like 12 cars in it. Yeah. Which was cool. It was like you were saying about MotoGP. It was that kind of freight train sort of thing. Trolley train. One of those. And that was good fun. But that bit towards the end, really spiced it up. Got to mention the move Ricciardo made on Bottas.
Oh yes, yeah, he done him there.
Again, the Red Bull probably was only really good enough for fifth today. Yeah, he managed to finish third.
Yeah,
it's Danny Rick. He's he doesn't make a lot of song and dance. He doesn't make a lot of noise. He just quietly gets on and does the job. That's what I like about him.
He did really well. One thing I didn't mention as well when we were talking about Alonso is Alonso pushing Palmer off.
Yes, again, and Palmer being quite vocal about not being happy with it. To be fair, again, we're in a bizarre world. Palmer's kind of got a point. I put it down to just massive frustration on the part of Alonso.
I do, but I've had a go at other drivers for doing that. So
Palmer's
side.
That's my point. Like I said, it's bizarre world this week.
Yeah.
We've got to kind of go. Yeah, he's got a point. Naughty boy Alonso. Look, I know you're not having a good race, but you can't go taking it out on people like that.
You can't do that when I've stuck up for other people for not doing that as well. And, oh, Jesus Christ. What's he doing to me? What's he doing? Palmer, what are you doing to me? Why are you so correct? That's not fair.
Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria.
Exactly, yeah. But Palmer didn't end up with any points anyway. So should we run down the results of this race?
Yes, let us do the resultings of the things. Actually, no. Very briefly, just touch on, because we mentioned at the beginning, Williams managed to make a pretty reasonable recovery with Massa ending up finishing 8th.
Oh, that's good then.
Yes, but yes, shall I do the top 10?
Yeah, go on. Yeah, you do the top 10.
Okay, starting at 10, working my way up. At 10th, we had Carlos Sainz Jr. 9th, Esteban Ocon made a reasonable recovery after his nose wing changed, thanks to the safety car. Felipe Massa was 8th. Romain Grosjean was 7th. Hülkenberg 6th. Bottas was 5th. Kimi Räikkönen was 4th. Danny Ricciardo was 3rd. 2nd was Vettel, and 1st was Hamilton.
Nice. And so that leaves our driver's standards as Kimi Räikkönen is in 5th position with 128 points. Daniel Ricciardo is 4th with 132 points. Valtteri Bottas 3rd with 179 points. Lewis Hamilton catching very slowly in 2nd position with 213 points. And Sebastian Vettel still out with a gap of 7 points. He is 1st with 220 points.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Oh, yes. 7 points difference there. I'm actually surprised how close it is between Ricciardo and Kimi Räikkönen. Yeah,
since Daniel Ricciardo's had a race win as well.
Mm-hmm. But he did have a DNF, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Yeah. Do you want to do the constructors, or shall I?
Oh, yeah, I'll do the constructors. 5th, you have Williams with 45. Then there's a bit of a gap. And we have 4th with Force India with 103. And then another bit of a gap with 3rd with Red Bull with 199. And then a huge gap to Ferrari with 348. And out in front, not so far away, Mercedes with 392.
Nice one. Right. We now go to the predictions that we had for the Belgian Grand Prix.
Oh, from way back when.
Yeah, way back when. Do you remember what you went for?
I don't even remember doing that cast at all.
Good. Okay, so predictions for Spa. Pole position. I predicted Bottas. No points for me. You predicted Hamilton.
Hey!
So you get a point for that. Well done, mate. Well done. Well done, you. Well done, clever little you. Clever Andy. Well done, you. The race. I predicted Kimi Räikkönen. You predicted Hamilton. Well done.
Hey!
Well done, you again. Well done, clever Andy. Well done. Isn't he so clever?
Didn't he do well?
Yeah. And then we go to the 3rd column, which was, where would Max Verstappen finish? I predicted 3rd position. You predicted did not finish. Well done, Andy. Well done.
I'm not saying I sabotaged his car. I'm just not saying that.
Aren't you fucking clever? Well done, you.
Oh, well, I'd like to thank the Academy, obviously, my agent.
So, out of all the races so far, you are in the lead with 16 points compared to my 10 points.
Still all to play for, though.
Yeah.
8 races left.
So, well done you.
This is what happens when you miss staff meetings and go to 10 MotoGP races, you'd see.
Yeah, well, yeah, that is my only saving grace, really, isn't it?
Cosmic karma, my friend.
Yeah, so... Next time out, we have the Italian Grand Prix.
Now, we've touched on this briefly before, but you're not a fan of this race, are you?
No, I'm not, no.
It's your Monaco.
Yeah, it is my Monaco, yeah. It is. It's outgrown itself, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I don't disagree with you. I think there are better circuits. I far prefer it over the Monaco, but... I totally get your meaning. I mean, this Monaco and you know what? The British Grand Prix, I think, are overrated to various degrees.
Yeah, I get that. So, is there any history from last year that we have?
Oh, yes. The 2016 race, pole position went to Lewis Hamilton. The podium was Nico Rosberg from Hamilton from Vettel. You want to guess who was the fastest lap?
Fastest lap. That was a Williams, wasn't it?
It was not. It was one Mr. F. Alonso in a McLaren Honda.
Was it?
Yeah. What are the odds? In terms of number of wins, 5 for Michael Schumacher, 4 for Nelson Piquet, and then a ton of people have won it 3 apiece, including Vettel and Hamilton.
Right. Good stuff. Okay.
Quite disturbingly, if you go to the Wikipedia page and look at the multiple winners, under 2 is a driver called Rudolf Caracciola, who has a Nazi flag next to his name.
Holy shit.
Yes, so there you go.
Really?
Seriously, I'll send you the thing. You can have a look.
You imagine winning the race and just flapping that around all over the place?
Well, it was in 1934 and 1937, so I think it was the style at the time.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was kind of in vogue at the time, wasn't it?
Yeah. In terms of constructors, Ferrari have won here 19 times, McLaren 10, Alfa Romeo 8, Mercedes 7, Williams 6.
Right. Okay. So I'm trying to look for that flag.
Go down to multiple winners.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Shit a brick. Wow. That's amazing. I've just clicked on it and it just came up with Germany. So someone has...
Oh, no, I think it's because it was the flag of the time of the nation.
Yeah, okay.
Because the guy above there's got the old Italian one as well. But anyway.
Okay, right, predictions.
I think you should go first.
Well, I was going to say, screw you, I'm going first anyway. Now, I got to think with my heart or with my head. Do I want to beat you or do I want someone I want to win? I'm going to go with Vettel. Vettel for pole position.
Vettel for pole, eh?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to go with Lewis.
Yeah, there we go. Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy that point as well. And for the win, I'm going to go for... I'm going to go for Vettel.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Lewis. I think you're probably right with Vettel. The only reason I'm not going to go with Raikkonen is because if Raikkonen is in the lead, he's going to let Vettel pass him. So.
I think it was established that Mercedes are going to make Bottas bow out if the points are required, which is fair enough. I think Bottas wouldn't have any arguments with that after Hungary.
Well, he's still within a mathematical chance, but I think it's like you said, it's a situation where as if giving Lewis the boost does him more good, then yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And third column. Any ideas? I was going to say highest place in Italian, but we don't have any Italians in the grid nowadays.
Do we not? My God.
No.
When did that happen?
No,
Who was the last Italian? It was Giovinazzi, wouldn't it have been?
I suppose.
How about something with a Force Indias?
What about running time for the race?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it is one of the fastest races, isn't it?
It is.
What was the running time for last year?
Bear with me a second while I find it. Okay, over 53 laps. Running time was 1 hour, 17 minutes, 28 seconds, and 0.89 milliseconds for Nico Rosberg.
Okay. What do you think the running time will be for this race?
Ooh. Well, let's see. The cars are faster, aren't they?
Yeah.
The question is, how much faster do we think they are? I think we're going to get a 1:15.
1:15. Is that high 15s or low 15s, or you're just taking 1:15?
I'd say a low 1:15.
Low 1:15. Okay. 1:15. I'm just going to put low underneath it.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go for 1:14, and I'm going to go for high.
Okay. Are
Nearest
we
to
doing
pin.
nearest to pin?
Yeah, nearest to pin.
Fair enough. It's going to be really awkward if it lands on like exactly 1:15.
It is, yeah. It's, well, yeah, that's an argument for a later date, isn't it?
Yeah, that's an argument for the next one.
Okay.
Definitely.
Yeah, because that is another thing about this race that I don't like. It's over so fucking quick.
Well, surely if you don't like it, then you'd want it to be over quicker, wouldn't you?
Well, no, it's still Formula One on the TV.
It is, yes.
I still want 2 hours of Formula One. When the build-up is quicker than the actual race itself, not good.
Oh, it's always that way, though. They got like 3 hours of build-up these days.
Yeah. Anyway. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to... Are you actually looking forward to this race?
It's not one of my favourites, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Again, mostly because of how much everyone goes on about the Cathedral of Speed and the history and how amazing it is. Plus, when it kind of lands, it's usually like the very end of the summer. I usually just like, I'm just dozing in the sun. But much like yourself, bad Formula One is still Formula One. So,
yeah. Okay, cool.
Plus, I get to chat with my mate afterwards and bitch about it, which is always fun.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that's how God-given right now, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it from the point of view that it's another Formula One race and it's a week apart, so that's always good thumbs up from me. I feel that we've had a good race here, so a lackluster race is kind of expected in Italy, so I'm kind of balancing that out as well. But the fact that it could possibly be less than 1 hour, 15 minutes, that's not good. Do you imagine paying the extortionate prices of Silverstone and getting in there for an hour and 15 minutes?
Yeah.
I don't think so. That's
you know what,
good.
though? If it keeps dropping in that, they'll just start adding an extra lap onto it.
Well, then they can't because it's distance covered.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's down to distance
100,
covered.
yeah, it's 190 miles, isn't it?
Yeah. Any more laps, it'll be over that, and then you're talking about fuel efficiency.
Maybe they'll throw in a chicane or something.
Oh, then you just got another chicane.
Maybe they'll stop going there. Go back to Imola.
Yeah. Yeah. Or, yeah. Anyway, okay, right. I'm looking forward to it because it's Formula One anyway, so there we go.
Yes.
Right, so until next time, Andy, where can people catch you on the internet in other places?
You can catch me on the Band of Brothers podcast with your good self, which we will be doing the next one at some point, which we're going to discuss once we finish this. Also on Space Dock Jury, which is at spacedockjury.com, and on iTunes and Facebook. And, you know, you're growing up people. You know how to use Google. Exactly. Go check it out. We argue about spaceships. It's fun.
By the way, listening to the Seven Eves episode today, I'm halfway through it, thoroughly enjoying that, and totally agree with everything you guys are saying on that.
Have you read it?
I've listened to the audiobook.
Oh, well, there you go. So, yeah, we're all on the same page then.
Yeah. Yeah, so excellent stuff anyway. Catch me on the Black Dog Podcast, which is at blackdogpodcast.com. You can also catch me on shonkylab.com, where the last time out we were talking about conspiracies. This Wednesday we'll be recording live on Mixlr, which is mixlr.com/RogueTwoMedia, where we will be talking about alcohol and going to the pub, etc.
Hey!
There we go. Everyone's
Will you be
favorite.
recording drunk?
I've been asked this question already. No is the answer to that one. That's not going to happen. There's nothing, apart from people telling you about their dreams, there's nothing more boring than listening to drunk people.
Okay, so I can't call in drunk then.
You're more than welcome to call in drunk. You are more than welcome to call in drunk. Anyone is more than welcome to call in drunk. Everyone's more than welcome to tell me about their dreams. Whether I find them interesting or not is another matter. It's up to you to actually tell me an interesting dream. So
there you go. There's a challenge for everyone.
Yeah, there we go. So if you have any ideas on the Italian Grand Prix and you'd like to share them with us, please email them to boxboxbox@grandprixpodcast.com.
You can tell us about how we're wrong about not liking it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tell us your thoughts on the Italian Grand Prix and do you like the actual circuit itself. Please pop along to iTunes as well. Reviews are always welcome and they always help our situation on growing. So, yeah, please do that for us. Until next week, we will catch you later. Thank you very much and goodbye.
Ta-ra.
That move for seats might be coming on the Renault. Okay, we'll keep an eye on that, especially if October has got a problem, because 2.8 has become 1.